The old man's hand trembled as he gripped the porch railing, his knuckles white against the peeling paint, staring at the empty street where shadows danced like forgotten memories. In that moment, as the sun dipped low and painted the world in hues of regret, he whispered a request that would shatter the boy's innocent world forever. "Bring me a cake, son," he rasped, his voice cracking like dry leaves underfoot. "And when you do, tell me I'm turning 80. Tell me like you mean it, like it's the truth I've been running from all my life." Tommy froze on his bicycle, the wheels still spinning lazily as he processed the words from Mr. Harlan, the reclusive grandfather next door who'd never once waved hello in all his 12 years of living there. The old man had always been a ghost in the neighborhood, a shadow behind drawn curtains, a figure who mowed his lawn at dawn to avoid eyes. But now, here he was, leaning forward with eyes that burned with a desperation Tommy had only seen in movies, the kind where heroes face their end. Swallowing hard, Tommy nodded, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and curiosity. "Okay, Mr. Harlan. But why? I mean, no one's ever seen you celebrate anything." The old man's lips curled into a faint, bitter smile, one that didn't reach his eyes. "Because, boy, some birthdays aren't for celebrating. They're for remembering what you've lost. But today, I need to pretend." That evening, as Tommy pedaled home, the request gnawed at him like a secret too heavy to carry alone. His own family was the opposite: loud birthdays with balloons and laughter, his mom's homemade cakes piled high with frosting. What could make a man like Mr. Harlan shun such joy? He pictured the old man's house, cluttered with dusty photo albums he'd glimpsed through the window once, faces smiling from another time. The next morning, Tommy woke with determination. He begged his mom for ingredients, spinning a tale about a school project on baking. She raised an eyebrow but relented, her hands guiding his as they mixed batter in the sunny kitchen. "Who's this for, really?" she asked, wiping flour from his cheek. Tommy hesitated, then shrugged. "Just a friend." The lie tasted sour, but the truth felt too fragile. By afternoon, the cake was Riadia's simple vanilla layer with white icing, Tommy's shaky handwriting spelling out "Happy Birthday" in blue gel. He carried it carefully across the shared fence, the summer heat making sweat bead on his forehead. Mr. Harlan was waiting on the porch, his frail frame swallowed by an oversized rocking chair. "You came," he said, his voice softer now, laced with surprise. Tommy set the cake on the wicker table, the scent of sugar mingling with the musty air of neglect. "Here it is. And you're turning 80 today, Mr. Harlan. Happy birthday." The words felt awkward, forced, but as he said them, something shifted in the old man's eyes, a flicker of light in the darkness. Mr. Harlan stared at the cake for a long moment, his gnarled fingers tracing the edges. 80, he murmured. "Has it really been that long?" He motioned for Tommy to sit, and reluctantly, the boy did, perching on the steps. What followed was a floodgate opening, stories pouring out like rain after a drought. He spoke of his youth in a small Midwestern town, where birthdays were grand affairs with picnics by the river. But then came the war. World War II, he said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "I was just 18 when I shipped out. Left behind a girl named Ellie. Promised her I'd be back for her birthday." Tommy leaned in, the cake forgotten as the tale unfolded. Ellie had waited, letters crossing oceans, but one day the news came. A telegram that shattered everything. "She died in a car accident while I was gone. On her birthday." Mr. Harlan's eyes welled up, tears carving paths down his wrinkled cheeks. "After that, birthdays felt like curses. Reminders of what were stole from me." Tommy's chest tightened, imagining the pain. "That's why you never celebrate." The old man nodded. "I came home a ghost. Married later, had kids, but the joy was gone. My wife tried, God bless her, but I pushed it away. Now they're all scattered, and I'm here alone." As the sun set, Tommy shared his own stories, silly ones about school pranks and family trips to lighten the mood. Mr. Harlan chuckled, a rusty sound that warmed the air. For the first time, the boys saw the man not as a recluse, but as a survivor carrying invisible scars. Days turned into weeks, and the request became a ritual. Tommy would bring small treats, a cookie, a muffin, and declare another birthday age, climbing higher each time. "You're 81 today," he'd say, and Mr. Harlan would nod, sharing more fragments of his life. The boy learned about the old man's son, who had moved across the country after a falling out, and a granddaughter he'd never met. One afternoon, as Tommy arrived with a batch of brownies, he found Mr. Harlan sorting through an old trunk in the living room. Yellowed letters spilled out, photos of a young soldier and a smiling girl. "This was Ellie," he said, handing one over. Tommy traced her face, seeing echoes of kindness. But then, a twist. As they talked, the doorbell rung, an unexpected sound in the quiet house. Mr. Harlan stiffened. Who could that be? Tommy peered out, seeing a woman in her 50s, suitcase in hand. "Dad?" she called, her voice tentative. It was Sarah, his daughter, whom he hadn't seen in years. She'd heard through a mutual friend about her father's declining health, whispers in the neighborhood that Tommy unwittingly started with his visits. Sarah's arrival was like a storm, emotions swirling. "Why didn't you call?" she demanded, tears streaming. Mr. Harlan hung his head. "I didn't want to burden you." Tommy watched from the corner, feeling like an intruder yet pivotal. Sarah's presence changed everything. She brought photos of her own family, including the granddaughter, and insisted on staying. The birthdays continued, now with her joining in, her laughter mixing with her father's stories. Yet, beneath the reconciliation, tension simmered. Sarah confessed to Tommy one evening, while Mr. Harlan napped, that the falling out stemmed from his refusal to celebrate her mother's birthday after she passed from cancer. "He shut down, pushed us away," she said, voice breaking. Tommy nodded, understanding the layers of grief. As summer faded, Mr. Harlan grew weaker, his stories shorter, breaths labored. Tommy dreaded the day the requests would stop, but he kept coming, the bond deepening into something profound, a bridge between generations, teaching the boy about loss and resilience. One crisp autumn day, Mr. Harlan asked for a real cake again. "Make it special, boy. And this time, say I'm 90. Tommy baked with care, enlisting Sarah's help. They decorated it with candles, the house filling with warmth for the first time in decades. When they presented it, Mr. Harlan's eyes sparkled. 90, he echoed, blowing out the flames with surprising strength. But as the evening wore on, he pulled Tommy aside. "You've given me more than cakes, son. You've given me back my life." That night, as Tommy lay in bed, he realized the true gift. In pretending birthdays, they'd healed real wounds. The old man wasn't just celebrating ages, he was reclaiming joy stolen by time. But fate had more in store. The next morning, Sarah called Tommy over urgently. Mr. Harlan was in bed, pale but peaceful, holding a letter. "It's from Ellie," he whispered. No, it was a new one from his granddaughter, prompted by Sarah, wishing him happy birthday. The emotion swelled, a twist of hope amid decline. Tommy sat by his side, holding his hand. "You're 91 today," he said softly. Mr. Harlan smiled. "And it's the best one yet." As winter approached, the visits became daily vigils. Sarah and Tommy alternated stories, filling the room with life. Mr. Harlan shared his final secret. He'd never celebrated because each birthday reminded him of those he couldn't share with loved ones. But now, with this makeshift family, he felt complete. One snowy evening, as flakes danced outside, Mr. Harlan closed his eyes for the last time, a faint smile on his lips. Tommy and Sarah wept, but in their grief was gratitude for the cakes, the words, the redemption. In the end, the boy next door had done more than bring a cake. He brought back a man's soul, and in that, found his own humanity. The funeral was a quiet affair, the neighborhood gathering under gray skies, whispering about the man who'd been a mystery until the end. Tommy stood by the grave, clutching a small cake he'd baked alone, the icing reading, "Happy Birthday, Mr. Harlan." As dirt fell on the coffin, he murmured, "You're 92 today," his voice breaking, a final tribute to the ritual that had bound them. In the weeks that followed, life shifted for Tommy. School felt mundane, his friends' chatter about video games hollow against the depth of what he'd experienced. Sarah stayed on, sorting through the house, inviting Tommy over often. "He talked about you constantly," she said one afternoon, handing him a box of letters. "You were like the grandson he never had." Opening the box, Tommy found not just Ellie's letters, but ones Mr. Harlan had written to his son. To Sarah, unsent apologies scrawled in shaky hand. "I should have celebrated," one read. "I let grief steal our joy." Tears blurred Tommy's vision, the weight of unspoken regrets hitting hard. But then, an unexpected visitor arrived. Mr. Harlan's son, Jack, flown in from California after Sarah's call. Tall and graying, he resembled his father, eyes carrying the same haunted look. "I came as soon as I heard," he said, hugging Sarah tightly. Tommy watched, sensing the family's fractures mending slowly. Jack's presence was the twist Tommy hadn't anticipated, a man hardened by years of distance, now confronting his past. Over coffee, Jack shared his side. Dad never recovered from Mom's death. Birthdays became battles. He'd lock himself away. I left to escape the silence. Sarah nodded, admitting her own anger. Tommy listened, realizing grief's ripples touched everyone. Inspired, Tommy suggested a memorial birthday party. For him, he said, to celebrate what he missed. Reluctant at first, Jack agreed, and they planned it in the old house. Balloons, music, stories shared like candles lit. The party was emotional, neighbors joining, sharing glimpses of Mr. Harlan they'd never voiced. An old veteran recounted war tales, revealing Mr. Harlan's bravery in battle, medals hidden away. Tommy felt pride swell, seeing the man anew. As night fell, Jack pulled Tommy aside. "You did what I couldn't," broke through his walls. He handed the boy a photo. Young Mr. Harlan with Ellie, laughing by a river. "Keep this. And promise me something. Never let grief stop you from celebrating life." Tommy nodded, the lesson etching deep. But the twist deepened when Jack revealed a secret. Mr. Harlan had left a will, naming Tommy as beneficiary of a small fund for college, with a note, "For the boy who gave me birthdays." Overwhelmed, Tommy used the first bit to buy ingredients, baking cakes for the local nursing home. "Happy birthday," he'd say to residents, regardless of the date, echoing the ritual. It became his way of honoring Mr. Harlan, spreading joy where loneliness lurked. Sarah and Jack grew closer, deciding to sell the house, but keep family ties strong. They invited Tommy on trips, treating him like kin. One weekend, they visited Ellie's grave, laying flowers, closing a circle of remembrance. Yet, amid healing, Tommy faced his own challenge. His parents' divorce loomed, whispers of arguments filtering through walls. The stability he'd known cracked, mirroring Mr. Harlan's losses. He confided in Sarah, who listened like a mother. "Grief comes in many forms," she said, "but you've learned to face it with cake and kind words." Emboldened, Tommy confronted his parents, sharing Mr. Harlan's story. "Don't let pain push you apart," he pleaded. Tears flowed, and while no miracles happened, dialogue's open. Birthdays became neutral ground for talks. As spring bloomed, Tommy turned 13, his family throwing a subdued party. Jack and Sarah attended, bringing a cake. "You're 13 today," Jack said, winking. Tommy smiled, feeling Mr. Harlan's spirit there. But the real surprise came when a letter arrived from Mr. Harlan's granddaughter, Emily, now 18. "Grandpa wrote about you," it read. "I'd like to meet the boy who made him celebrate." Emily visited that summer, a vibrant girl with Ellie's eyes, bonding instantly with Tommy over stories. Their friendship added layers. Emily shared her own losses. A mother gone too soon. Sarah's passing? No, Sarah was her aunt. Wait, Emily was Jack's daughter. Together, they baked, declaring random birthdays, turning pain into play. One day, exploring the attic, they found a hidden diary. Mr. Harlan's wartime entries, raw and revealing. "Today is Ellie's birthday," one page read. "I survived for her." The discovery brought tears, but also closure, Emily vowing to publish excerpts for veterans. Tommy's world expanded, the simple request evolving into a legacy. He started a club at school, Birthday Buddies, pairing kids with elderly neighbors for faux celebrations. It caught on, local news featuring it, Mr. Harlan's story inspiring many. Yet, doubts crept in. Was he honoring or exploiting? Emily reassured him. "Grandpa would love this. You gave him voice." As the year turned, Tommy reflected on the man who'd started it. A grandfather asking for a cake, and a lie that became truth. In saying he's turning ages, they'd affirmed life itself. The climax built when Jack proposed a family reunion, inviting distant relatives. Tommy helped organize, nervous excitement bubbling. The event was joyous, toasts to Mr. Harlan echoing. In a quiet moment, Tommy slipped away, visiting the grave. "You're 100 today," he whispered, placing a slice of cake. Wind rustled, as if in reply. Back home, He wrote his first story about a boy and a grandfather pouring emotions onto pages. It was his way forward, turning kitsch tin into art. Years passed like pages in a well-worn book, Tommy growing from boy to young man, the lessons from Mr. Harlan woven into his very being. Now 18, he stood at the crossroads of adulthood, college applications scattered on his desk, each one a step away from the neighborhood that shaped him. But the pull of the past remained strong, especially on days when the wind carried echoes of that first request. Emily had become a constant in his life, their bond deepening beyond friendship into something tender and unspoken. She studied art in New York, but visited often, her sketches capturing moments from their shared stories. Mr. Harlan's porch, a cake with flickering candles. He'd be proud, she'd say, her hand brushing Tommy's. One evening, as they walked the old street, Emily dropped a bombshell. I've been researching Grandpa's war records. There's more to his story. Tommy's heart raced. What secrets lingered? She pulled out documents, faded military files revealing Mr. Harlan hadn't just survived the war. He'd saved lives, earning a medal for pulling comrades from a burning tank. The revelation hit like a wave, reframing the man from victim to hero. Why hide it? Tommy wondered aloud. Emily shrugged. Grief overshadowed glory. But we can change that. They decided to honor him properly, a ceremony at the local Veterans Hall, inviting family and community. Jack and Sarah spearheaded it, Tommy speaking first. He never celebrated birthdays because they reminded him of loss. But in his final days, he taught me to celebrate life despite it. The event was poignant, medals pinned posthumously, tears mixing with applause. An unexpected guest appeared, an elderly man, leaning on a cane. Sergeant Mills, saved by Mr. Harlan decades ago. Your grandfather was the bravest soul I knew, he said, shaking Tommy's hand. He carried guilt for those he couldn't save, like his Ellie back home. This twist, a living witness, added depth, Sergeant Mills sharing tales of camaraderie that lightened the grief. Tommy felt a surge of connection, the past alive and breathing. Inspired, Tommy chose a college nearby, majoring in history to preserve such stories. Emily transferred closer, their relationship blooming openly. You're my birthday every day, she teased, echoing the ritual. But challenges arose. Tommy's birthday buddies club grew, demanding time, and personal doubts surfaced. Imposter syndrome, wondering if he deserved the legacy. A heated argument with Emily ensued. You're living his life, not yours, she accused. Tommy stormed out, echoes of Mr. Harlan's isolation haunting him. Reconciliation came via a cake, Tommy baking one, knocking on her door. I'm 20 today, he said sheepishly. Laughter healed, strengthening their bond. Meanwhile, Jack faced health scares, mirroring his father's decline. Tommy visited often, declaring ages. You're 65. It became a family tradition, warding off fear with joy. Sarah wrote a book about her father, including Tommy's contributions. Published modestly, it touched hearts, letters pouring in from readers sharing similar stories. One from a young girl. Your grandpa inspired me to visit my lonely grandma. The ripple effect was profound, Tommy realizing one act's power. He expanded the club nationally, partnering with organizations, turning personal healing into communal good. On Mr. Harlan's would-be 100th birthday, they gathered at the Grave family, friends, even Sergeant Mills. Cakes abounded, stories flowed. Tommy proposed to Emily there, ring in hand. Will you celebrate all my birthdays? She said yes, tears glistening. Their wedding was a celebration of life. Birthdays theme woven inquests declaring ages randomly, laughter echoing. Jack walked Emily down the aisle, Sarah beaming. Years later, with children of their own, Tommy told the tale to his son. It started with a cake and a lie that became truth. The boy listened wide-eyed, promising to continue the tradition. But a final twist awaited. Digging through old files, Tommy found a letter from Mr. Harlan, written days before death. Dear Tommy, the ages you gave me weren't pretend. Each one was a year I lived again through you. Say I'm forever young. Tears fell as Tommy read it aloud to his family. The message encapsulated the human value. In connecting across divides, we defy time's cruelty. Emily framed it, hanging it prominently. Their home became a hub of celebrations, no birthday forgotten. As Tommy aged, he saw Mr. Harlan in mirrors, white hair, wise eyes. But unlike the grandfather, he embraced joy, teaching his kids to do the same. One day, his grandson asked, "Why do we celebrate every day?" Tommy smiled. Because a grandfather once asked a boy for a cake, and it changed everything. The cycle continued, humanity's thread unbroken. Decades unfolded, Tommy now the grandfather, his hair silvered, lines etching stories on his face. He sat on a porch much like Mr. Harlan's, watching his grandchildren play, their laughter a balm against time's relentless march. Yet, in quiet moments, he whispered ages to himself, keeping the ritual alive. "You're 80 today, old man." His life had been rich, a career in teaching history, Emily by his side until cancer claimed her 2 years prior. The loss echoed Mr. Harlan's, testing his resolve. Birthdays felt hollow without her, but he pushed on for the family. His son, named Harlan, noticed the withdrawal. "Dad, you're pulling away," he said one evening. Tommy sighed, sharing the origin story. Young Harlan listened, then grinned. "Then let's bring you a cake. Say you're 81. The gesture warmed Tommy, reigniting the flame. Grandkids joined, declaring wild ages, turning grief into game. But an unforeseen twist emerged. A knock at the door revealed a stranger, a woman in her 70s, holding a faded photo. "I'm looking for Thomas, the boy who knew my uncle, Mr. Harlan." Stunned, Tommy invited her in. She was Ellie's niece, having traced family through Sarah's book. "Uncle wrote about you in letters," she said, producing envelopes. They detailed Mr. Harlan's final months, crediting Tommy with his redemption. "He said you saved him from loneliness." The revelation brought closure Tommy didn't know he needed. Ellie's family had wondered about the soldier who loved her. Now, connections formed. They shared meals, stories bridging generations. Inspired, Tommy revived birthday buddies on a larger scale. Using social media, Emily would have loved it. It went viral, chapters worldwide, emphasizing human connection in a digital age. Personal trials persisted. Tommy's health faltered, arthritis and heart issues mirroring Mr. Harlan's. Doctors urged rest, but he refused isolation. "Bring me a cake," he joked to nurses, declaring ages. His family rallied, Sarah now elderly visiting with Jack. They reminisced, the circle complete. Young Harlan's child, a boy named Tommy Jr., became his shadow, much like he had been to Mr. Harlan. One afternoon, Tommy Jr. asked, "Grandpa, why no real birthdays?" Tommy shared the tale fully, the boy's eyes widening. "Then I'll bring you one. Say you're 90. The cake arrived, family gathered. As candles flickered, Tommy felt peace. "This is for all of us," he said, blowing them out. But fate twisted again. A health crisis struck, a mild stroke, hospitalizing him. In recovery, visions of Mr. Harlan appeared, whispering, "Celebrate, boy." Tommy awoke renewed, vowing to live fully. Discharged, he wrote his memoirs, Cakes and Ages, detailing the journey. Published, it inspired films, documentaries, a testament to one request's impact. As he neared 90 true, the family planned a grand party. Invites went to birthday buddies, members, Ellie's kin, even Sergeant Mill's descendants. The event was epic, speeches honoring the legacy. In a quiet toast, Tommy raised a glass. "To the grandfather who asked for a cake and taught me humanity's greatest gift, connection." Emily's absence ached, but her spirit lingered in their daughter's art, son's kindness. Tommy Jr. promised to carry on. In final years, Tommy became the neighborhood sage, kids visiting for stories. "Bring a cake," he'd say, echoing the past. On his deathbed, surrounded by love, he whispered to Tommy Jr., "Say I'm 100. The boy did, tears falling. Tommy passed peacefully, his life a mosaic of joy reclaimed. The funeral celebrated, not mourned, cakes everywhere, ages declared. His epitaph, he turned ages into eternity. The boy next door had become the grandfather, passing the torch. In that, the story lived on, a beacon of human resilience and love.